the Anthony Hospital's plant service manager's responsibilities having been abated. Gary, having handed his written resignation to the hospital administrator's wife Nina at their residence. Lee Adams observing his action from the shadows of an adjoining room. The realm of unemployment a new experience, with the silence of the vacuous North Springfield residents. Jen still fulfilling her hospital commitment, the children in school, the lack of presence, or purpose, displaying a void within. Gary realizing, the stillness echoing the reality of circumstance, questioning his judgment to resign his Anthony Hospital position. A firm justification prevailing. The resignation, an acceptance of responsibility for his daughter's involvement in the Halloween Adams resident labeling event, and any disparage it may have caused. Leaving the administrator with no pretext for making public any deprecatory statements about the Wilsons. Gary having made the decision to take up the gauntlet and submit for publication the evidence of Lee Adams' transgressions. With an abundant accumulation of evidence of Adams' past transgressions, Gary culminating an editorial for submission to the Anthony Republican newspaper, disclosure of the despot lurking at the Anthony Hospital. Accessing the Main Street local paper, acquainted with Jim Dunn, the owner publisher and his wife Vera. Having worked with the couple in the past, illuminating the editor with articles about coming hospital activities and events. Gary brandishing his typed exposé of Lee Adams' sequestered past, including documentation of the numerical count of nurses, doctors, even Catholic nuns whom were compelled to resign or were terminated by his actions during his tenure at the ARG, Regional Healthcare Hazard Kentucky Medical Center. Jim's first reaction was one of forbearance, not aspiring to evoke the newspaper in what appeared to be an evolving public dispute. Declining to publish the typewritten article. Gary opening a folder, spreading the abundant incriminating clipping from the Hazard Herald newspaper on the counter. Jim's interest piqued. Gary turning towards the door to leave, briefly stating to the editor, he could print it or file it away, it was his decision. Gary's article exploded on the front page of the Anthony Republican, the only deprecatory, Jim's decision to withhold the name of the author, explaining it was a discretionary measure reserved for publishers. His concern, Gary's family and possible retribution. The community became openly polarized, with citizens submitting additional editorials for the removal and support of the administrator. The hospital board of directors submitting a letter of their continued steadfast support of Lee Adams. The outpouring of concern overwhelming. Jim Dunn receiving veiled threats, including Larry Olds, owner of Larry's Hometown Market, threatening the editor with pulling his advertisement if the editor continued to publish articles detrimental to Adams and the hospital board. Jim, a true journalist, calling his bluff, continuing to publish the facts, even though Larry's store was his largest advertising account. The conflict now a blatant affliction, a discourse that Jan Wilson would soon be discharged as director of nursing was rumored. With growing apprehension, Gary and Jan journeying to Wichita, seeking advice from a labor relations attorney, exploring legal alternatives for possible upcoming developments. The attorney suggesting that the couple and other concerning parties document Adams' past by engaging a private investigator, thus providing a future foundation for litigation. The attorney supplying the name of an investigator who had worked with him in the past. The drive back from Wichita was one of accomplishment but also one of question, wondering where or when Destiny's road will end.